Thank you so much for joining for episode 5 of How to Be an Outsider. In this episode, I'm joined by a Revelstoke community member who is also a dear friend and someone that I've gotten to know over the last few years. Firstly, as a parent of one of the children that I was teaching through the school system, and then through the avalanche and ski guiding world. And now as somebody who has just a really deep connection to nature and history and culture, and I'm just really grateful to know this person. Tomo brings, I think you'll agree when you watch, an energy of reverence and thoughtfulness that is really wonderful to behold. And like all of them, at some point I get a bit emotional, just going to preface that. But some of the concepts that we talk about, which might for some just be like, oh, sports and life and the job I do, really talk to what it means to not belong and then find belonging and work on belonging and commit yourself to that. And so I really hope you find this talk meaningful, because it truly was for me. Well, welcome to episode 5 of How to Be an Outsider. And I'm joined by somebody who started out as a community member that I connected with. I first met you, Tomo Fujimura, when you were a parent volunteer at a field trip I was running for your son's school. And you were pretty much the only parent volunteer who was really engaged with what we were doing. I mean, firstly, you were deeply knowledgeable about the environmental space we were in and you had expertise there, but you were so intentionally participating and supporting the students in their learning. So I was very inspired by that. You then became an educator for me when I was with Revelstoke Search and Rescue, and an ongoing educator, but in that space around transceiver, avalanche rescue and understanding that, of which I know you do a lot of translation work and high level connections to that industry. And now I know you as a friend and someone who I have had the pleasure of getting to know across different cultural ideas and spaces. And so it's a great honour that you're joining me today. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of this. And I wonder if you could just introduce yourself to the folks listening and tell them a bit more about yourself.
Well, thank you very much for great introductions, Jade. My short name is Tomo, and people mostly in this country know me as a Tomo. The official Japanese name is Tomoaki Fujimura. I'm originally from Osaka, Japan. Grew up there 18 years, then moved to Cranbrook in 1995, right after the Kobe earthquake happened in January 1995. So I came to Cranbrook, BC, without knowing about English or where I was even learning to. And then I did not have anybody, only I had a letter connector to the host family that time. So throughout my journey to Canada, I was seeking 2 main objectives. One is the English, and then another one is to learn a simple life. The experience of the Kobe earthquake January 1995, it shook me quite a bit of the purpose of Japanese education a little bit too, and also how vulnerable we are. And nature will take over anytime, no matter what we prepare for. So I basically learned from that point, and what do I need to prepare for it? As a 18 years old, I was vague, but I knew the two objectives: to learn English and to seek for the simple life.
So, thank you for sharing so much. You've done so much in your life and have explored so many different layers of what life looks like. And I too came here for this kind of simple life. England was becoming, in my understanding of it, more and more materialistic and very much about what you had rather than who you were. And so coming to this kind of rural area was really a part of that, and that connection to nature. But wherever I've lived in 7 countries on 4 continents, but in almost all of them, except for 2 countries, I've spoken the language of that place, right? It's because I grew up with English, which is a privilege, given that it's the language of business, right? And it's a language spoken all over the world. So when you first arrived without a safety net and without people and without language, did that create a challenge for you to connect with people? And how did you overcome those barriers?
Well, first of all, during my early time, more I was interval. Is it called interval? Introverted. Introverted. Yes. So shy, or the culture itself too. Probably how my dad posture or the show up. Just quiet, work hard, no complain.
Don't make a fuss.
Kind of, don't make it fast. Or in the school time too, I was captains of baseball team in junior high. So you have to show the example to it, and don't talk. You show from behavior to and a non-verbal communication. And the Japanese are very heavy on the non-verbal communications and behavioral side of it. So from that point, and to once I arrived to Vancouver, I had to change immediately. I had to change because the domestic flight from Vancouver to Cranbrook, there are 2 cancellations or 3, I can't remember, between Canadian Airlines and Air Canada. They had cancellations. I could not understand how that happened. Even I did not know the vocabulary meaning of boarding.
Okay.
I had to flip all the dictionary back in time.
Yeah.
So I had to change. I had to ask, and also I used public phone to contact with host family who were waiting at the airport, which kind of calculations in Japanese standard airport, and takes hours to get there. So I felt so bad that if they are waiting for me at the airport, and from the city, and I do not know how big Cranbrook was either.
Very small in comparison to Osaka. Yeah, quite. You could probably spit on it from one side of the town, right?
Yeah. So therefore, I had only, I don't know how many $1,000 in cash and travel check. I didn't have any coins. So, and I didn't have any credit card to it because I was 18 years old and I did not know how to use the public phone. So I had to buy something that I didn't want to eat or drink because I already stressed.
To get change.
So I got big change, and then from that point I cannot be shy. I have to open it, and then people here in this country won't know anything about who I was. So I had to change continuously. But it's hard to change from introverted to open myself to approach the people, what I want or need. But if I don't change it, my how do I say, the progressions of English ability would be faster pace, especially accent. To the Japanese accent that I have is still now, it's hard to get rid of it, and our the tongue and the muscle that we use for that language to the English are totally different. So I had to practice it, and then at the school, it's the school homework is only school homework, and try to get out as much as possible like kiddos. So I joined to the badminton club, I joined to the swimming pool, I joined to outdoor clubs, and that's kind of led to many opportunity to have the interviews to the First Nations, from Iktonaha, Sophie Pier to start with. And next one was Rachel Keller, Swiss guy from work for the Island Lake Lodge cat skiing operation. And I met Charlie Locke from Lake Louise, who purchased the Fernie and Kimberley Alpine Resorts. And my host family was hunting guide, so all those are connectors. And backcountry skiing came from basically ski patrols, a volunteer ski patrol for the Alpine Resort. So all those connections to help me down the road, and I recognize that spoken English wise, I need to get out as many as possible so that I repeat or I create different sentences to approach or being received as well.
That's a huge thing to do, and I have so much respect for people who are living in countries where they have to learn the language of that place and it's not their mother tongue. The only small experience I have of it was living in France for a year, and I had some education in French from a younger age, but I was in an area where it was very French speaking, and they don't like to speak English, right? They don't want to speak English, particularly outside of the tourist times. And being in a room where theoretically you understand some of the words, or you'll get one little moment, and then maybe you even understand, but then trying to formulate a response, like, it's exhausting for your brain to learn to speak another language, and here you are existing in it and doing it. Do you tie any connection to the things you've had to endure with, say, the Kobe earthquake and that travel? Have those things made you more resilient and more able to keep trying and hold fast when challenges have come your way?
Yeah, regarding the resilience, I think it got developed in somewhat naturally from the being bullied. The early time, grade 2, 8 years old or so, I was bullied quite a bit. I was one of the smallest kiddos in the school, and I played probably a lot more with girls than big boys. And I had a question of why and how come they treat me different ways. We are the same human beings. I was just small and I didn't have any power for physically. They played softball on baseball, so I kind of pushed myself to join their team, and then became a teammate. And I could not throw the ball, I could not hit well. What I could do was preparing for their play, so which means setting up the helmets and setting up, backup person, and enjoying to their team as a second, which means I didn't need to throw too much. And I became second hitters, which is back time is just a bunt. I didn't hit much. So, but I became crucial point or crucial puzzle for their winning. So in elementary school, we achieved quite a bit of the first place of the city of Osaka, also quite a bit closer to the top 3 in the prefectures of Osaka. So we achieved quite a bit. And then that made me comfortable after they accepted of my hard work. And then from that perspective, I think as long as I do chip away or work or homework to be in social norm or what is norm, I don't know, but to join it, I study or I put an effort to it. But when I came here, there are a few Japanese at the college. They spoke to me mostly in Japanese, but I spoke back to them in English, or broken English. So I was the odd person. And in the Japanese culture and customs, hierarchy programs, which means the people who are older, that's called senpai, and the junior is kohai. The direct translation, senpai is a senior or the older, and then age-wise or the career-wise. And then junior you have to obey most of the time, and hierarchy program. Even this topic, recently they talk in the baseball players in Dodgers, LA, between the Otani, Yamamoto, and Sasaki. They talk about the hierarchy programs. Yeah.
That's fascinating to me. I also see a lot of connections between that Japanese culture you're talking about and the indigenous cultures of this place that through my work and relationship building, Sophie Pierre, Tanaka leader, has done incredible work. And she's supported with her family a Tanaka language program that my organisation has helped co-host, and I've got to see her strength and resilience, and the way she's moved through life is inspirational, and what a great person to connect with. But that cultural thing of having great respect for your elders, of holding yourself in a certain way, of for me, I'm always told, and it's shown to me, but I've now been instructed that when we describe ourselves to someone, we talk about who our parents were, who our family is, in order to contextualize and situate ourselves, because history matters, and our connection to our ancestors matters. And it sounds like I also too was bullied mercilessly, to the point where I just did not want to be in school anymore, which was such a shame, because I loved learning so much, and it really made it hard for me to do that. And when I got to university, I realised that the more you put your hand up and the more you tried, actually the better it was. And it was such a revelation to be with people that actually wanted to do that. But it sounds like you took that adversity and worked hard to overcome it. And I see in the work that you do now, you are responsible for people's safety, for people's well-being in very changeable and dramatic landscapes. You're an educator in that space as well. And I wonder, how do these things that have, potentially there was a sense of being an outsider, how have you worked them into the work you do now as a guide?
Well, outsider, it is the word that we as a human beings created. But we live in this earth, as equal. The nature treat you as equal. We love comparison as a human beings, and contrasting each other, so that your ranks or your confidence or your opportunity or your maybe low or up. The human beings like to, I think, look around so that you position yourself. But the natures, to me, is your choice, and then you submerge, and you read, you connect, and if they are welcome, you stay. If not, you feel that vibe is different, and that's not the time. Like, I do foraging the mushroom quite a bit, and I see the last several years definitely difficult, and it is okay that fire swept through, but whenever a human intervenes to the forest and we start cutting more to it, definitely response we will see. But back to the outsiders, I think it is, we just created ourselves, and I do create myself to be outsider. As I mentioned it to Japanese community, my goal at that time, in the early stage of my English as a second language, in learning English, I became outside of the Japanese community norm. But that outsider helped me to open the different doors, and even currently as a guide, as the avalanche educator, I'm not same as others. I know about it, but that's the beauty of it, because they don't have it, some of those. So you have to flip the word to make it positive, because whenever you feel negative perspective, which impact me and shape up, and then definitely stress come with it. But given the time and opportunity will come, and I'm in a way lucky that having second language opened it up with the world, and that helped me recognize hard work will pay back later on. We don't know when. So outside doesn't mean bad things. Outside is beauty, but to be resilient or standing oneself, it's pretty difficult. It is alone, isolated. There are lots of moments that didn't work for me. Therefore, I felt the edge of the cliff, that maybe much easier for me to go back to the nature, which means, existence of myself, the life, not get accepted in this country or world. But some nature helped me not do it right now. We'll do it later on. Either it's purposely, or the nature will take my life. But at this moment, basically, I know the destination or meaning of my life that I can pass it on. So education is more for me is teaching something I'm learning. To teach, I need to do homework. That's the education to me, and school is a part of it, not full of it.
Yeah. Wow, I do love talking to you. I find the way you describe things quite profound and layered, and I really appreciate that. I educate for a living, and you're right, it's just constantly, how do I understand this well enough to share it? Do I have a deep enough understanding in order to give this to somebody else? And I do believe that, and the whole reason I started this podcast is because of being an outsider actually gives you the perspective. It gives you the capacity to look at things differently. And if you look at the great scientists of the world, if you look at the great philosophers, if you look at the great people doing incredible work in outdoor spaces, they've always had to step past what the others were doing outside of that comfort circle and try something. And so I do believe that being an outsider is reframed as and can be reclaimed. So I really appreciate that. I wonder, as we chat about the fact that you are an educator and you've done translation work for some of the most important tools for keeping people alive where we are in the backcountry with avalanche transceivers, which, if you don't know, if you're not in that world, is a tool that you wear on your body that if you're buried in an avalanche, that people can use it emits a signal and people can follow that signal to you and hopefully dig you out. And so you've done all these really important, serious things, and you, over many years, have also connected back into your Japanese culture and through history and learning about the connection to this place and a couple of different projects over time. I wonder if you could talk to them a little bit, because it's really interesting.
Wow, it's two different things, right? The avalanche world.
Yes.
And the history world. However, in the avalanche that I learned, mainly in Canada, progressions of understanding snow crystals, where it come from the atmospheres and the clouds, and how the crystal change from the sky to onto the ground, and once they are buried, and they form different layers due to different weather events. And when you have good quality, this snow science data collections, we are able to share with other community or other people, which become credibility and value to it. And the snow science, we just dig only this table size, and that's a very small sample compared to mountain range, right? And then, but that sample helps a lot. And as the foreigners in the guiding society or ski patrol, the trust, to gain the trust, I had to maneuver myself. So that's why I became educator. I push so hard to be instructor for Canadian Avalanche Association. I could be instructor for avalanche skill training for the public, but I needed to go next level. That not many people go further the professional levels to it. Without the degrees that I have, or I don't have, actually I don't have, it's really difficult to convince people my capability. But they see or they saw how clean I do for the snow science. And that's applied to not only guiding world. I did work for Ministry of Transportation quarter for Revelstoke to Three Valley to the south, and then those are very how do I call the accomplishment or pleasure that all those hard work people trust to it.
Yeah.
And in that practice now applied to the history that I was kind of not hobby, but to learn this community, I learned quite a bit to start with it, because I don't belong to this community or continent or anything. I'm aliens, always outsider. But in order to understand how the people live or how this community shape up, I had to do lots of homework, which is the history perspective. Then next step was the how, why, and then Japanese early settlers are here in the early 1900s. So I've been doing lots of digging, very similar to digging snow, and looking at
Digging through the archives.
digging all those things, and and then just collect the data, very quality data, so that I understand why those Japanese left to come to Canada, and then why they continue to stay in Canada. Regardless of their difficult times as outsiders. And, after the internment camp during World War II, majority of them did not go back to Japan. They went to Ontario mostly. So all those are, again, very similar approach to the snow science, to the, the Japanese-Canadian history, and that connect to right now happening. We have the film called the 1910, The Uncovering, story of the Canadian worst avalanche fatality happened back in March 4th of 1910.
And I know a little bit from attending your talks on this now, and actually, so a massive part of my belonging here has been to connect to the history and community and culture of this place. And I work with the Indigenous Friendship Society and that past history. And then when I first came, our local museum, and Kathy English, who's the curator, does these brown bag lunches. And that was the first time I had heard anything about internment camps. And I can't imagine what that must be like to live somewhere, to have it feel like home, and then to be told that you don't belong anymore, and to be treated, by all accounts, extremely poorly.
I'm not sure the belonging goes, how they felt. Obviously not. More to, I think, anybody, hard work you do. And then there's the low come to you, and then you don't have it anymore. And then I think very difficult for anybody. Mm-hmm. Anybody, doesn't matter which background we are. The land or the place that you didn't need to worry, you just enjoy, the lifestyle, and then suddenly somebody took over.
Yes, threatening.
And that's the difficulty. And those folks obviously had Japanese descendants, and war is not great things for many, many perspectives. And understanding cultures and customs and language and religions, really difficult. And obviously, back in time, early settlers from Japan in the Vancouver regions, they had a great business and prosperities. They cultivated so hard and well, and that became threat to certain people. Mm-hmm. And therefore, there was a good excuse, I believe, that the Pearl Harbor and then down the south, down the States, they interned those Japanese descendant people. Doesn't matter it's Canadian born or the first Japanese immigrants. I think Canada should be on the same allies, so do it the same way without understanding consequences, right? But Japanese word we have shogunai. That means we cannot do anything about it. We have to let it go. We have to adapt, and then wherever we go, we need to enjoy or have to make it, worth of it. And that's what you see internment camps between Sycamus and Revelstoke. They built, gardens. If you go to New Denver, you see the gardens. They create their small, environment to, enjoy. And then these days, people now talk shinrin-yoku, the forest bathing, the nature will take energy. Not only forest, you go to ocean, same things, The nature will take your negative thoughts to it. But if you go deep into it, nature will take your negative to settlers, which we sometimes see people taking lives in the nature.
Oh, wow. And I feel like I've seen pictures of like baseball teams in the internment camps as well. And that just, it seems like you say there's this concept of making the most and acceptance. And I feel like maybe we are, all cultures, all societies could do with a little bit more acceptance generally, and we might feel more at peace with the fact that we live in an environment and a world that's ever changing and that we can't control. When you started researching the avalanche, Canada's worst avalanche fatality event in 1910, did it connect you or re-stir these thoughts and feelings of when you left Japan and earthquakes? Like, do you see those lines of connection there?
Yes, certainly the avalanche itself is natural phenomenon. The earthquake is natural phenomenon. When that happens, dramatically change our lives if you are in it. But if you open more to it or dissect of those phenomena, it's needed. The earth need those cycles to it. We are the only humans that when we exposed to it or in it, we get impact, which means that we get injury, we die, or mentally we get impact. But learning the avalanche helped me how to navigate uncertainty. And earthquake, definitely taught me earthquake wasn't the problem. Our buildings, the problem, we created.
Yeah. And I did a whole sort of module on this during my physical geography degree, right? That was around the fact that these are natural phenomena, and the only reason that we have any issue with it is because we have built there or we're spending time within these extreme environments, right? We did a lot of building on floodplains, and then when homes were washed away by floods, we're up in arms, but we did that, and we didn't have enough knowledge, or we didn't look carefully enough at the environment to make good decisions. And I feel hopefully that we make better decisions. I know from my own experience in the avalanche world, I'm only in a level 1 avalanche tech, but that through that there is more awareness and more decision making. And I think also there's more integration between the science data and the heuristic or human data about decision making, about the way we blindly follow someone with more experience, as opposed to cultivating critical thinking, listening to our intuition, and that's starting to get more respect. And we've talked a lot about like heavy things, and like there's obviously a lot of weight to these, but I mean, I've been out mushroom picking with you. I've walked through the forest with you and been along this beautiful creek with sun shining and berries frosted, and just like had the most beautiful time. And of course, as a skier, I mean, there's nothing like skiing powder turns in a backcountry area where you can't see another human, and it's just glorious. So you've learned, you've done your homework, you've assimilated. What does the sense of belonging that you get in the nature here, in our mountains, in our forests, like what does that mean to you personally?
Oh, personally,
Sorry.
I think, training to become a SMG ski guide. Walking through the mountain range, up and down on the snow. You have to make critical decisions. You have to trust the partners and friends. You have to have good communications to be on the same page to it. Nature taught me how to navigate not only the physical navigations to it, but the life navigation to it. And also, the uncertainty is the gift that human beings, most of us feel fear, but to me, the uncertainty has become gift to me as a challenger and become more comfortable to it. And most of us, whenever uncertainty comes, we rely on technology. We rely on source from the friends to gather and quantified or qualified. Then you can navigate down the road. And that goes to you only if you're by yourself in a backcountry and you're vulnerable. You don't have backup. So you have to navigate very cautiously. And then if you have another layers that your friends comes, your partner comes, your clients comes, different ball games. So certainly the environment change, and that environment is not going to be the same. And I think the challenge of adaptations helps next achievement. And complexity of the natural environment, and the same as humanities, we're complex as well. We try to tell the truth stories, but we are liars as well.
Yes.
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 Unfortunately, but science and nature, if you lie to it, they're gonna bite you.
Yeah.
They're gonna bite you. Therefore, you have lots of lessons here. Therefore, tendency of lying or hiding won't happen too much. But definitely, everyone has different, covered stories, and the embarrassment that you don't want to share, and that's the difficult. And once that layers build up, it's hard to unveil. And then you and I spend time in the nature that helped quite a bit open conversation to it, and without judgment of your background or my background, and neither of nationalities or gender. We just talk like human or the
It's a really beautiful way to close and to think about it. And I can remember back the summer before, when I was having a challenging time and we were collaborating on something, and you said, where are you? And I said, I'm walking. And you said, can you go to the river, and can you just take some breaths and find a moment? And you helped me let go of some of the things. And so I think what I'm most impressed at is that through adversity and discomfort, and a lot of folks in the industries that you inhabit have a kind of wall. And that wall is to protect themselves, it's to protect others in some ways, but there's this kind of brusque nature. And I really appreciate the depth of care and attention you bring to everything that you do. So I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for sharing your life with me as well. And I hope this inspires other people. And we carry on and we enjoy each step we go into the this environment. And not outsider, we are harmonizing to the nature.
Harmonizing to the nature. Okay. That's the title of this episode for sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.